it's really crucial to work out precisely when this bracelet was put together. And I've just been talking with our jewellery expert, John Benjamin, and he confirms that the gold mounts with the fittings and the composition, which is a very classical shape, would have been made in the Georgian period. It dates from the end of the 18th century, or perhaps around about 1800. And that's really very important because the pieces of glass which it's formed of contain decorative techniques which weren't reinvented by the Venetians until the middle of the 19th century. Prior to that, they hadn't been made since Roman times. So what we're looking at is a collection of fragments of Roman glass mounted together at the end of the 18th century. So, do you know a part of its history at all?
I don't really. All I really know is the fact that it was left to me by my mother, and prior to that, I believe it was given to my mother by an old aunt of hers. But apart from that, I would love to know its history.
It was just come down in the family
Yes.
as a little piece of jewellery. I mean, when the pieces of glass were discovered, they would have come from archaeological excavations as fragments of wonderful pieces of Roman glass, bowls, jugs and vessels. When they were found, they certainly didn't look like this. When we turned the back over, it shows the unpolished surface. Here is how the glass would have looked. These little fragments are in their raw state. By being in the ground, glass decomposes and develops a silvery iridescence. As a result, the collectors polished them again, and by repolishing, as the Romans had done originally, the colours inside the glass come out, and these are the colours from, they all date from around about the 1st century AD. So we're going back to almost 2 millenniums, I suppose, ago. And to think how they did it. I mean, the techniques here really were wonderful methods of making glass. The patterns, they contain, well, there's this one here, that's millefiori, individual canes. You've all seen the glass paperweights, which contain little pieces of rods of glass, like coloured sticks of rock, assembled together. Here they've made little patterns in the glass and fitted them around. That would have probably been a whole bowl, maybe that pattern all over it. Next to it, even more remarkable, we've got latticino. This is individual twists, little candy cane twists of one colour glass set within clear. So the yellow glass twisted up and laid down side by side and remelted into the side of a bowl or a jug. And so many techniques which became forgotten. No one knew how they were doing it. The Romans were able to practice so many techniques that we always think of as Victorian ideas because no one knew until then how it was done. Here, right at the end, that last piece contains, there's a flower head and other patterns of little flowers and beads, all made of coloured glass. They would have rolled that little flower in one coloured glass petals and then melted it all in together to form the patterns. And these would have been marvellous, extremely valuable treasures in their day. The complete bowls were really quite wonderful. Very few survive in intact condition. A few have come from excavations complete. They were normally repolished and put on display in the museums, but collectors were glad to hold just fragments of them because even the little pieces are scarce, and they show the technology that the Roman glassmakers invented, and then the techniques became lost for a long, long time. I mean, these pieces, which were assembled, they were shaped to fit into a nice piece of jewellery, and here a collector has had this made at a time when there was a great deal of interest in the Roman world. The excavations at Pompeii had been working. Maybe some of these fragments had come from excavations like that. Who knows, this might have been part of a suite of a matching necklace and another bracelet once. That's often how these came in the 18th century. To think the pieces are even older, and we've got a very valuable piece of jewellery because it has value for two reasons. The glass pieces are precious. Even fragments of these rare glass are valuable because complete bowls are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. They just don't exist. Very rarely come on the market. Even fragments are worth hundreds of pounds each. Some of these pieces alone can be worth many hundreds of pounds. Adding those up together, we've got a fair bit, and mounted in such a wonderful way in a period piece of jewellery which is so smart. Somewhere perhaps 6,000 to 10,000 pounds.
Heavens.
It's just lovely.
It's beautiful. I definitely won't wear it now.